I'm going to speak on behalf of many Palace supporters. That's all right, mate. I could.
You go for it. You go for
it. Names just come out of my head. I speak on behalf of Trolley, Dave, Neil the Eagle. Mine's gone blank, but they know we're going to speak about him. Chocky didn't have the best start in life. He was born in Brighton. Now, for a Palace fan, that's like starting the season with a 20-point penalty and having Alan Mullery for a manager. However, he made up for this early setback by becoming the staunchest and the most fanatic of Palace fans. Though he did seem to have an affection for blue and white striped Tesco bag teams, which is probably why he supported Malaga as his Spanish team. I don't know why, there are other teams in red and blue in Spain. But Palace was always his first love. I can remember someone saying to me last week that they knew Chocky was a real Palace fan because his favourite match was a 1-0 win away at Wrexham in the 1980s. I think it was the first away game we'd won for 18 months. Well, since we've all heard the sad news, I've been inundated with messages about Chocky. Each of them having their own tale of something he did to make them laugh, and I'm sure everyone here has their own Chocky story, and I'm so looking forward to hearing from all of you when we raise a glass to him later today. I also have over 700 messages of love, support, respect and memories of him that were left on the Crystal Palace FC message board. Many of these people didn't even meet Chocky. He was just someone who wrote words on a website and he touched them. There's so much we can say about him. His friend Trolley recounts how he met him in the Conch, a pub in Beulah Hill. He tells how Chocks always had a piece of chalk in his pocket to deface pub blackboards and walls, usually with extremely inappropriate drawings of a coloured gentleman with well-endowed lips, a habit he was still into here in Spain, and I'm sure Dempsey's cleaned many of them off. He was always one of the first to help when Palace went into administration. He designed brochures for the Supporters Trust. He was an active member of the board. He designed the programmes for an event I organised back in the 90s, and he was also helping people organise fundraising when Palace entered administration again a few years back. And he did all this, refusing to take any money. In fact, when I think back at how he's helped so many times when Palace were in problems and Palace was really struggling and Palace went down and Palace were relegated and Palace had bad times, I think he was a bloody jinx. Of course, Chocky had his obsessions as well as Palace, amongst which was Tourette sufferers. John's Not Mad being one of his all-time favourite programmes. He also loved reenacting old-time wrestling from Batley Town Hall, which usually ended with one of us getting our heads squashed in the freezer lid in All Part 1. Another record, somebody said to me a couple of weeks ago, the first time I met you and Chocky, you were slamming his head in a fridge door. Usually in front of a bar full of stunned people. Aviation he loved. I'm sorry, Norma, but Chocky always said that a hawker Siddeley tried and did things to him that no other woman could. Each to their own, I suppose. He also loved 3 AM drunken phone calls. A reason why I, still to this day, never leave my phone on at night. One of his mates from the Conch, Gary, told me that one morning at 5 AM he opened his phone and there was a late night message from Chocky. The messages were still going an hour later. There are so many memories of Chocky, and please keep them close to you. Keep them here. Keep them here. Because all the time, Chocky will always be here, and he's here. He's such a big part of my life over the last 18 years. If it wasn't for him and Biggers, I wouldn't be here in Spain, married, with 2 kids. It's that jinx thing again. He was my support when I needed him. He introduced me to about 1 million people in the first year I lived here. In fact, looking around me, I think he introduced me to about 99% of the people in this room. He made me laugh constantly, and now the little fucker's making me cry. I first got to know him when he did the design for the Glad All Over fundraiser concert. He did posters and programmes, and we hit it off immediately. I had a motorbike accident several years ago and broke my neck. Several months, all I could do was get out of bed, walk to a chair and sit in front of the television or the computer. And every day there was Chocky, our MSN messenger, talking to me, chatting away, talking crap, laughing, being irreverent about everything. He got me through that. He got me through a divorce. Late night phone calls helped that one a lot. He got me through illness. He got me through so many things. I last saw him on Monday, last week. He was cheerful. He was hopeful for the future. And we spent over an hour laughing and talking about our times. And when I left, I hugged him. It's an unusual thing, because we were never that tactile. I wish I'd held him for longer. When Norma called me on Wednesday with the bad news, I was numb. I drove home from work in a daze, spent the next few days until he passed, totally numb. I hope he knew how much he meant to me. I hope he knew how grateful I was to him, and I hope he knew how much I loved him. There's a huge hole in my life now that'll never be filled. You bastard. Everyone I've spoken to or messaged me, the one thing they've all mentioned is laughter. Wherever Chocky went, the sound of laughter was always there. There's a photo on the wall of my house from the wedding a few years back. It's a panorama of all my guests, smiling and waving at the camera. Norma's looking away from the camera. But in the middle of it is Chocky. He's not laughing, he's not smiling, he's pulling a funny face. And that's how we should all remember Chocky. Stood in the middle of everything, pulling a funny face. Now, I want everyone to stand, please. Chocky wouldn't want tears. He wouldn't want to leave us with sadness. He'd want to leave us with smiles and laughter. So please, join in with me